My wedding day was supposed to be perfect, and it almost was, until my mother stood up in front of 200 guests and publicly called my father a disgusting cheater who ruined her life. People froze, forks in midair. The DJ literally stopped the music. It wasn't a toast. It was a full-blown emotional assassination. Right there, at the head table. At my wedding. But to understand what led to that moment, you have to understand the years that came before it. My parents divorced when I was 10. At first, I didn't even know what was going on. All I knew was that the yelling got louder. My mom cried more often, and my dad started sleeping in the guest room. Then one day, he was gone. I remember coming home from school and finding his closet empty. No note. No explanation. Just space where his things used to be. Mom told me he left us. That he found someone younger. That we weren't enough for him. She didn't say it angrily. She said it with this cold, sharp smile. Like she wanted me to feel the same hatred she did. And I did. I hated him. When he tried to call, I refused to answer. When he sent birthday cards, I ripped them up. When he offered to visit, I said no. I was loyal to my mom. She was the one who stayed. She worked 2 jobs. She made dinner every night. She showed up at school plays even when she was exhausted. She became my whole world. But the older I got, the more I started to wonder. Why didn't she ever want me to talk to him? Why did she always shut down every question I had about him? Why did she seem so happy when I said I hated him? In high school, I started going to therapy secretly. At first, I just wanted to talk about stress. But eventually, everything came out. And my therapist asked something that shook me. What if both of your parents hurt each other? That thought had never crossed my mind. To me, it was simple. Dad equals villain. Mom equals victim. But suddenly, it didn't feel that simple anymore. So I did something I never thought I would. I called my dad. He picked up on the second ring. And when he heard my voice, he started crying. Full-on sobbing. He didn't even say hello at first. Just, oh my God, is it really you? We talked for hours. And then again the next night. And again the night after that. He told me he had made mistakes. That he never meant to hurt my mom. That he didn't cheat. At least, not until after they'd already agreed to separate. He said my mom never wanted to talk things through. That she shut down. That every conversation turned into a war. He wasn't trying to make her the villain. He was just tired. For the first time in my life, I saw my father not as a monster, but as a human being. It took over a year to rebuild our relationship. We started meeting for lunch every month. Then more often. Emily, my fiancée at the time, encouraged it. She said, every person deserves a second chance. Even dads. By the time we got engaged, my dad and I were finally in a place where I felt okay inviting him to the wedding. I was nervous, because I knew my mom would lose it. But I also knew something else. I was done choosing sides. This wasn't about their divorce anymore. This was about my future. My wife. My life. So I told my mom that dad would be there. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just gave me that same cold, sharp smile. And she said, then I hope you're ready. I thought she meant she'd be distant. Or maybe just a little cold on the day. I had no idea what she was planning. The months leading up to the wedding were tense. Not because of Emily. She was amazing. Supportive. Calm. She just wanted us to have a beautiful day. But I could feel the tension building like a storm cloud over my family. My mom started calling more often. Not to talk about flowers or catering, but to ask questions like, is he really coming? Will he be sitting close to me? Is she okay with this? I mean, his new wife. Won't that be awkward? I kept telling her, Mom, it's one day. Just try to be civil. And she'd always reply with the same fake sweet voice. I'm always civil. He's the one who ruins everything. Emily told me more than once. I don't trust her smile. I wanted to believe the best. That she'd put her pain aside. That she could be bigger than the past, just for one day. But deep down, I knew better. The night before the wedding, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over the seating chart in my head, trying to make sure they weren't at the same table, making sure there were enough buffers between them. I even had backup plans. If things went sideways, I'd quietly ask my best man to intervene. If it got really bad, we'd have the DJ cut to dancing early. I shouldn't have had to plan damage control for my own wedding. But here we were. Then came the big day. The weather was perfect. Blue skies. Light breeze. Emily looked like a literal dream in her dress. As she walked down the aisle, I felt my whole world shift. Like everything finally made sense. The ceremony was beautiful. Simple. Honest. Full of laughter and love. And for a while, I actually forgot the tension. We kissed. People cheered. We walked back down the aisle hand in hand. At the reception, things stayed calm for a bit. People mingled. My dad kept to his side of the room. My mom was surprisingly quiet, smiling, chatting, sipping her wine. Too quiet. Looking back, that should have been the red flag. Then came the speeches. Best man. Maid of honor. All beautiful. Funny. Touching. And then my mom stood up. She wasn't scheduled to speak, but she walked straight to the microphone anyway. Glass of champagne in one hand. That same cold smile on her face. I froze. She tapped the mic. Is this on? The room chuckled. And then she began. At weddings, we often talk about love. We talk about trust. We talk about loyalty. So far, nothing too strange. But let's not pretend those things are always easy. Let's not pretend everyone here understands what those words mean. I felt a lump in my throat. I want to raise a glass, not just to the bride and groom, but to second chances, to starting over, to pretending the past never happened, even when it did. Guests started shifting in their seats. She continued, because today, we welcome someone back into this family. Someone who once walked away. Someone who caused years of pain, but is now here like nothing ever happened. She paused, lifted her glass, and said, to the man sitting in the fourth row, may your memory be as selective as your conscience. Then she turned and smiled directly at my father. The room went silent. You could hear forks dropping. Someone actually gasped out loud. The DJ's hand hovered over the play button like he was waiting for a sign. I stood up. My heart was pounding. Emily grabbed my hand under the table. And in that moment, I had to decide. Let it slide, ruin the night slowly, or stop it right there and blow it up completely. I took a breath. Then I stood up and walked straight to the microphone. My mom looked smug, like she thought I was about to agree with her, double down, join her little performance. But instead, I took the mic gently from her hand, paused, and said, this is not your moment. The room went dead silent. This is not your stage. This is not your revenge story. This is our wedding. She blinked, confused for half a second. Then her face twisted. I'm just being honest, she said. People deserve to know the truth about that man. I replied, this isn't about him. It's about you. You couldn't go one day, just one, without making it about your pain. Gasps from the guests. I didn't care. You raised me to hate him. You poisoned every memory I had. And now, when I finally made peace, when I tried to start something new, you tried to burn it all down. She stepped forward. You're choosing him over me? I said, I'm choosing peace. And you don't know what peace looks like. Then I turned to the audience and said, I'm sorry for this. Truly, I never wanted drama today, but I also won't let anyone hijack this moment. I looked to my best man. He nodded. He and another groomsman walked over to my mom. Politely, calmly. Please, I said, you need to leave. She stood there for a moment, frozen, then suddenly snapped. You ungrateful little brat, she screamed. I gave up my life for you, and this is how you repay me? Defending the man who abandoned us. The whole room was staring. Some people looked away. Others watched like it was a car crash in slow motion. She turned to Emily. And you? What kind of woman lets her husband bring a monster back into their lives? You think this will last? You think he won't walk away from you too? Emily didn't flinch, didn't even blink. She just said, please leave. That was the final nail. My mom shoved her wine glass onto a table, stormed out of the hall, still yelling something I couldn't even process. Then, silence. The DJ looked at me, waiting. I nodded. Music resumed. A few brave guests started clapping slowly. Then more joined. And eventually, there was a strange relief in the room. Like the air had been sucked out and was finally back. I walked over to Emily. She took my hand. I'm so sorry, I whispered. Don't be, she said. You stood up. For us. That means everything. We sat down. The energy was shaky, but it wasn't dead. People started eating again, laughing again, like they were trying to glue the night back together. My dad, he hadn't moved, still in the same seat, still holding his glass. I went to him. He looked up at me with eyes full of tears. I never wanted this, he said quietly. I didn't want to come between you two. You didn't, I replied. She did that all on her own. He nodded, then said something that stuck with me forever. You broke the cycle today. That takes more courage than you know. After that, the night slowly turned back into a celebration. The dancing started. The cake was cut. People toasted, actual toasts this time. To love, to resilience, to choosing joy, even when the past tries to drag you down. And you know what? It was still a beautiful wedding. Maybe even more beautiful, because we fought for it. The next morning, my phone had 32 missed calls, all from my mom. There were also 17 text messages. At first, I just stared at the screen, still lying in bed. Emily was asleep beside me, her hand resting on my chest. The sun was barely up, and yet, the chaos had already started. I opened the first message. Can't believe you embarrassed me like that. Second one. I was trying to protect you. You'll understand someday. Then, your father manipulated you. I hope you're happy now. They got worse. This marriage won't last. He'll ruin you like he ruined me. You're just like him. Selfish. Cold. Ungrateful. I gave you everything, and you threw me away. By message 10, I stopped reading. The last thing I needed on the morning after my wedding was to be guilt-tripped by the person who caused the biggest scene of my life. I turned off my phone, rolled over, and held Emily tighter. Later that day, I called my uncle, my mom's brother. He had been at the wedding. He'd seen everything. I asked him, was I wrong? Did I go too far? He sighed, said, I love your mother, but she crossed a line. You did what you had to do. Don't let her pull you back in. That gave me some peace. Emily and I flew out for our honeymoon the next morning. 10 days in Greece. No phones, no drama, just us. For the first time in years, I felt calm, like I had stepped outside a storm I didn't even realize I'd been living in. When we got back, I had one voicemail waiting. It was from my mom. Her voice was cold, controlled, but every word dripped with venom. I hope you enjoyed your little vacation. You'll regret this. Maybe not now, but one day, when you have kids, and they turn on you the way you turned on me. Click. That was it. No apology. No ownership. Just more blame. I sat on the couch, phone in hand, feeling like a kid again, like I was 10 years old and hiding under my blanket, wishing the yelling would stop. But now I was an adult. I had a choice, and I made it. I blocked her number. Not forever, but for now, until she could be kind, until she could talk without poison in her voice, until she saw me not as her possession, but as a person. Emily supported me. She didn't push. She didn't say, I told you so. She just sat next to me, held my hand, and said, let's build something new. No more ghosts. So we did. We moved into our first home. A small place, but full of light, full of quiet, full of space to breathe. We planted a garden, painted the walls ourselves, got a dog, Max. He chewed up 3 shoes the first week, but we kept him anyway. And in that peace, I started to realize how loud my life had been before, how constant the drama had felt. It was like living next to a highway your whole life, and only noticing the silence once you move away. For months, my mom didn't reach out. Not on my birthday, not on Christmas, not even when I posted pictures of Max with a party hat. Nothing. And honestly, that silence was the kindest thing she'd ever given me. Because in that time, I healed more than I thought possible. Not just from the wedding, but from years of emotional landmines. From the guilt, the gaslighting, the pressure to choose sides. For the first time ever, I didn't feel like a rope in someone else's tug of war. I was just me. Until the knock on the door. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Emily was working late. I had just gotten home, soaked from walking Max. I toweled him off, made some tea, and curled up on the couch with a book. Then, a knock on the door. 3 soft knocks. No ringing. No texts. Just knocking. Max barked once and ran to the door. I stood up slowly. My heart already knew who it was. When I opened it, there she was. My mom, holding an umbrella. Hair damp. Eyes tired. She looked smaller. Not physically, but emotionally. Like someone who had been carrying a heavy weight for too long. She said, "Hi." I didn't say anything. Then she added, "I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to yell. I just want to talk. If you'll let me." I hesitated, then opened the door wider. "Come in." We sat at the kitchen table. Max curled up under my feet. The rain tapped gently on the windows. She looked around, taking it all in, the photos on the wall, the shelves, the coffee mugs. "It's nice here," she said quietly. I nodded. Then silence. A long one. Until finally, she spoke. "I've been in therapy." That caught me off guard. She continued. "For about 4 months now. Every week." She took a deep breath. "I didn't come to explain myself. I came to own it. What I did. At the wedding. Before the wedding. All those years I made you hate him. That wasn't parenting. That was punishment. I looked at her. She wasn't crying. Her voice was steady. Broken, but steady. I was angry. And instead of healing, I used you as a weapon. I didn't just want you to choose me. I wanted you to hate him. Because if you hated him, I didn't have to face the parts of me that failed too. She paused, looked down at her hands. They say, hurt people, but that doesn't excuse what I did. For the first time in my life, I saw her, not as mom, but as a human being, wounded, ashamed, trying. She looked up at me again. I know I lost your trust. I don't expect a relationship. I just wanted you to know. I see it now. I see all of it. And I'm sorry. Then she reached into her purse, pulled out a folded envelope. I wrote this the night of your wedding. Didn't send it. Couldn't. But I want you to have it. She placed it gently on the table. We sat in silence for another minute. Then she stood. I'll go now, she said softly. But if one day you want to talk, really talk, I'll be here. And I'll keep showing up, whether you answer or not. She turned to leave. And something inside me, something small but loud, spoke up. Wait. She stopped. I stood up, walked around the table, and hugged her. Not a long hug, not a movie scene hug, but a real one. One that said, I'm not ready to forget, but maybe I'm ready to forgive. She hugged me back, softly. No crying, no drama, just two people holding years of hurt in their arms. Then she left. I didn't read the letter that night. I put it in a drawer. But a week later, I opened it. And for the first time ever, I cried for my mom. Not out of anger, not out of guilt, but out of something new. Compassion. A year later, I stood in the same spot where I had once watched my mom storm out of my wedding. Same venue, different event. My cousin was getting married this time. Emily and I sat near the back, holding hands. She squeezed mine and whispered, You okay? I nodded, smiled, because this time, there was no tension in my chest, no fear of what might happen, just a sense of being grounded, whole. I hadn't spoken to my mom again in person since that rainy afternoon, but she kept her word. She sent a birthday card that year. Simple, no guilt, just I'm proud of you. She emailed me once a month. Little updates, sometimes a memory, sometimes just a quote she liked. Never once did she demand anything. She was trying. I wasn't ready to rebuild everything, but I did reply to a few of those emails. Short messages, a little warmth, baby steps. As for my dad, we talk every week now. He visits often. He even helped us build a patio in the backyard last spring. One day while we were laying bricks, he looked at me and said, I thought I lost you forever. Thank you for letting me be a dad again. That hit me, because for so long, I didn't even know I wanted him in my life. Now, I couldn't imagine it without him. Emily and I are still strong. We argue sometimes, like any couple, about laundry, groceries, dumb stuff. But there's trust. Real, honest trust. Because we've seen each other at our worst. And chose to stay. We adopted a second dog. Max needed a friend. Her name's Luna. She chews socks instead of shoes. Our house is noisy now. But it's the good kind of noise. The kind that means life is happening. Sometimes I think about that day. Not the wedding. But the moment I stood up, took the mic, and said, This is not your moment. That sentence changed everything. Not just for the wedding, but for me. Because for the first time in my life, I claimed my story. I stopped being the mediator, the go-between, the kid stuck in the middle of two broken adults. I became me, fully, freely. And if you're wondering, no, I don't hate my mom. I used to. But now, I understand her. She was in pain, and pain makes people selfish. But I also understand this. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting someone hurt you again. It means accepting that the past can't be changed, and choosing peace anyway. If she ever wants to truly reconnect, to rebuild from the ground up, I'm open. But I won't shrink myself again. I won't carry someone else's anger just to make them comfortable. Because this life, this calm, beautiful, messy, honest life, is mine now, and I'm finally living it. Sometimes healing doesn't come with fireworks. It comes quietly, like a soft knock on the door. The choice is yours whether you open it. But when you do, you might just find the peace you never thought you'd get.